United we stand, in God we trust. There is no fear. United we stand, in God we trust. There is no fear. United we stand, in God we trust. There is no fear. There is no fear. There is no fear.
Friends, gamblers, and sports enthusiasts alike, lend me your ear, for it is time. It is finally time for a brand spanking new episode of Nall or Nuthin. I am your host, Jason Nall, proud to join you again this week to talk through all things sports for the upcoming weekend through the lens of sports gambling. Nall or Nuthin, that's NALLORNUTHIN. Search us on YouTube, like and subscribe to our channel. Nall or Nuthin comes to you on 101.3 The Buzz on your FM dial in Cleveland, Tennessee, and on WNWS TV at WNWS.com. All right, tough week for sports gambling for your host last week. Tough week. We kind of got roasted. I had a perfect storm set up where I could take fade Dallas again after they kicked me in the teeth 2 weeks in a row, and load up on Washington. Lost the week before on there, and so I got a double storm there, a double opportunity to bet Washington again, fade Dallas again. So I did. I jumped in with both feet, and man, did those Cowboys look good again. They look good under Cooper Rush, the backup quarterback. Now 3-0 in relief of Dak Prescott, who is soon to come back from a thumb injury. Dallas's defense has carried them through those 3 wins, and Cooper has been efficient and effective. And I lost again on the dadgum Commanders, and I lost again fading Dallas. But let's bring Big Daddy C in, our esteemed sports handicapper, Big Daddy C. Tell us, Big Daddy C. You told me, you said, don't take that perfect storm. You didn't like that pick of Washington last week, and you stayed away from that one, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. As usual, you doubled up to lose double instead of double up to catch up. You did the whole double up to lose double. It was just it was really sad because there was no sense in taking Washington there. Everybody that ever has watched Pee Wee football knew that Dallas is playing good and they're at home. I mean, why were you trying to beat them? You ride the trench, you don't break them. Dallas was to play there. The Clown even tried to put us on Dallas. That's how much of a winner they were last week.
Yeah, the Clown did. The Clown, let's talk about the Clown at Badlands Brandon on Twitter, typically with us here as we record Nall or Nuthin, especially during football season, as one of our other guest contributors and sports handicappers. But the Clown woke up Sunday morning to a mess. A pipe broke, Big Daddy C. Is that what happened? And his whole house flooded?
Yeah, I think some kind of pipe that ran in his bathroom busted, and I think it just put a few inches of water in all of his house. But if I was him, I wouldn't have showed up either. Out of 5 weeks, he's given out 3 heavy jumbo 10 or plus more point favorites that have been outright losers. I mean, come on. 3 10-plus point favorites, and they outright lose. He don't need to be on the show. He needs to take a week off. Maybe he'll get his head right.
He probably does need to be in the penalty box for a week. I think he's got Serve Pro in there with fans blowing in his house right now, and his home studio is all a wreck. So he did send us another 3-game college football parlay, which I will share with our listeners and viewers here shortly. But Badlands Brandon in the penalty box this week. All right, let's go to the good, the bad, and the ugly. Since we last met, Big Daddy C, I'm going to give us, maybe even myself, the good for another last-second switcheroo on our pick for Survivor. We had agreed on the show to take Detroit at home against Seattle. We thought that the Lions were playing hard and could get the win at home against Seattle. but I saw some offensive pieces were out for the Lions, and I saw the line steadily coming down and moving away from Detroit and towards Seattle. I got scared. I called you up Saturday night. We switched off that Detroit pick, and we ended up moving it to the Green Bay Packers, and it took everything the Packers had. Overtime as a 10-point favorite, but they got through for us against New England, and we survived another week. That's a good. What do you think about two switcheroos 2 weeks in a row in Survivor?
Yeah, well, if we ever even got close to winning, we could credit those 2 weeks. I mean, because we were out both times. I mean, we just those have basically been a miracle. And that pool started with 13,000 and change people. And I looked at it today, and it is down to, I believe, like 3,100 and change. So a lot are gone. It's getting close.
Yep, we're moving them out. We're moving them out. And it would have been a whole lot gone. Over 50% of that 3,000 would have been gone if New England somehow beat Green Bay, but that would have included us, so we couldn't pull for it.
Yeah, I've told you the rest of the season, I don't want to be – you kind of have a feeling what's going to be the jumbo heavy favorite teams, and everybody's going to be loaded on them, and I don't want to be on that team anymore because that's how you win. Green Bay goes out last week, and this week it would have been down to probably 1,500 or maybe even less people, but around 1,500. So I don't want to be on the jumbo favorite anymore this season. I want them to get beat.
I don't either. And then the one time we might should have listened to Badlands Brandon was with his pick on Dallas, but I was so hell bent on fading Dallas and taking Washington, I would have never agreed to it. But man, I would have liked to have had that one now and still have maybe the Packers for later on in the season. Although I don't feel too bad about burning the Packers because they're really not that good.
Yeah, you're right. The Packers are not that good. He doesn't really have anybody to throw the ball to. They're not a quality team. I'm glad we've gotten rid of the Packers.
If you've caught Nall or Nuthin, be sure to check us out on our YouTube channel. That's Nall or Nuthin, Nuthin. I'm your host, Jason Nall, and we're joined by Master Sports Handicapper at Big Daddy C1000. That's also our Nall or Nuthin Twitter handle. I'm going to flash it on the screen right now, but at Big Daddy C1000. Follow that on Twitter. You'll catch our picks each and every day, and even outside of the program when we preview the weekend. All right, the bad. I got to go with a couple of baseball teams now that the regular season is wrapped up and we are heading into October baseball. The playoffs on the cool, crisp nights of October and early November. That's when baseball really gets good. But what's bad about baseball is maybe my odds boost FanDuel bet I had for $50 on the Mets to win the NL East. They gave me an odds boost at 2.5 to 1. This is when the Mets were up 6 games in May. I took it. I thought it was free money. No such thing as free money. No such thing. The Mets ballooned that lead up in the NL East all the way to 10.5 games. But here come the never say die hot Atlanta Braves, and they chopped, and they caught up with them in the last week of the season, went into the final game against the Mets last weekend, down 1 game, and what did they do, Big Daddy C? They swept them. They got the big broom out, swept the Mets, beat the Marlins the next day to mathematically eliminate the Mets, and they won the East, coming from 10.5 games back. World Series champions, Atlanta Braves. I talk about it all the time. It's tough to kill the beast, and the Mets could not kill the beast. How bad was that collapse, Big Daddy C?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, 10.5 games, that's a sizable margin in baseball, especially, in the last month or last month and a half. I mean, that's a big, huge margin to lose. So I would say anybody out there, just fade the Mets. I mean, they got to be on a losing streak. I would fade the Mets to the playoffs.
Well, it was the Braves that caught them. You may be right. They did not play well in the last 2 months of the season. Played around 500 ball, the Mets did, so that's not good enough to win your division. The Braves were super sizzling hot, over a 70% clip in the last 2 months, and they caught them. The other bad I'm going to give in baseball, the Chicago White Sox. Oh, my goodness, what a disappointment they were. I took the White Sox to win the AL at 12 to 1. They didn't even make the playoffs. They finished 19 games under their win total. Tony La Russa didn't finish the year, left with about 20 games left with health issues, supposedly. And then he says he's not coming back to manage the team again next year. The Hall of Famer, Tony La Russa, he fell flat on his face this year. God bless him. Let's hope his health is really okay. And the Chicago White Sox, full of talent, up and down the lineup for the second year in a row, completely disappoint. This year, completely missing the playoffs. So that was much more than a $50 bet I made there on the White Sox. And come tomorrow morning, my account's going to look pretty sad when that one's out of the pending wagers column, and that's just money washed under the bridge. The White Sox, the other disappointing team, I would say, in Major League Baseball, which had high expectations. That's the bad. The ugly. Tua Tagovailoa on Thursday night goes out against the Bengals. Big Daddy C had the over in that game. This didn't help him at all. And Tua, in the second quarter, has just a horrible head injury, concussion on the field. His arms and hands seize up, and our whole world sees it. As soon as his head hit, his hands go to the fetal position, and they just locked right up. And it was awful to see. What makes it so bad and what makes it ugly is that the week before against the Bills, Tua was obviously concussed. Staggering on the field, comes off the field, goes in the tent, comes back out the next series to play the rest of the game for the Dolphins, and everyone's like, hey, wait a minute. Concussion protocol. This is a big deal in the NFL now. He's out 2 weeks. How is he back in the game? Well, the Dolphins and their independent doctor said that it was a back injury for Tua the week before, and it wasn't a head injury. It was conversation, though, all week long after that game and leading into the short week in the Thursday night game against the Bengals. And lo and behold, of course, if there's blood in the water, the sharks are going to be swirling. And there was blood in the water. There was a lot of thought that Tua shouldn't be out there, that he was concussed, and they brought the heat and hit him hard and hit him often. And it took just until the second quarter to slam him to the turf when it looked like Tua was seriously, seriously injured, with his body seizing up on national television in front of everyone. So then the world was all over the Dolphins organization. The heat was on the Dolphins for playing Tua. The heat really should be on Tua because he's the one who knows 100% if he had a concussion or not. I know it's a critical year for Tua, and he needs to play well this year, but you can't play with a concussion. It's been proven too many times. The hits are too hard in the NFL. The next concussion comes so much easier. So they fire, Big Daddy C, they fire the independent doctor who cleared Tua on the sidelines the week before. Somebody had to go down, and it was this independent doctor on the sidelines for the Dolphins. What an ugly mess for the quarterback situation, which otherwise has been a great story for the Dolphins to start out the year.
Yeah, that was ugly, definitely. And the guy, he probably definitely deserved to be fired. I mean, if you got a concussion, I mean, you just can't chance that. That's serious business when you talk about messing with your head and your brain. But, yeah, that killed me on that over Tua going out. I really quit watching at about the second quarter when I saw, I think at halftime, Miami had kicked 3 field goals and missed one, and Cincinnati had missed one. I knew then it wasn't going over no matter what. So I quit watching that game. I saw what was coming. I knew that one was under.
Well, you had a couple of over picks in the NFL last week. Unfortunately, neither one of them got there. You were right about one thing. It was an over week in the NFL. More games went over than under. You just picked the wrong two.
Well, that's usually how it happens. You're right about something, but just not right enough to make money. But I was about 50% last week. My other 2 picks got there. So luckily I didn't play much last week, so it wasn't too bad for me.
Well, to wrap up the Tua situation and the ugly here, I do think that certainly a great level of this responsibility does need to fall on the quarterback himself. I mean, Tua's got to know that he was concussed. He's got to know his head didn't feel right, and he's got to know to protect himself. And he's the ultimate authority on his health. And so I think some of it has to lie on him, some of it on the Dolphins organization, and then I guess some of it on that independent doctor who has taken the fall for the situation and been fired. That's the ugly. We're going to grab a quick break. You're listening to Nall or Nuthin on your FM dial on 101.3 The Buzz, or maybe you're watching us on WNWS TV. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. It's Nall or Nuthin, and Nall or Nuthin is brought to you by College Tour X, the premier amateur golf tour in the southeastern United States. College Tour X features today's college golf superstars playing against each other. All levels of college golf, from D1 to NAIA, can square up and go toe-to-toe in these individual amateur events. If you're a college golfer, go to playtourx.org. Check out this tour and see if it is right for you. And if you are a golf fan, you can catch live scoring of all the College Tour X amateur events right there at playtourx.org, and you can see many of the future pros of tomorrow. Let's hop to college football. Big Daddy C, Friday night we get started in college, and your Memphis Tigers, they have won 4 in a row. I would go out on a limb and say, in fuego are your Memphis Tigers after that opening game loss in Starkville to Mississippi State. They host a Houston team that is reeling. Reeling is Houston. Memphis, a 3-point favorite, over under 57.5.
Yeah, I at the beginning of the season didn't really like the Tigers. Didn't think they were going to have too good a season, but I've kind of changed my mind here with this winning streak they've been on. They're playing good, so I say you got to take the Tigers. They're at home, and Houston's not playing good. The only thing that would give you a little leeway to Houston is Houston always seems the last several years to find a way to beat Memphis, but I think this year it changes. I like Memphis in this one. I think you lay the 3 with Memphis, take the team that's hot and at home, Memphis Tigers.
Well, Memphis definitely seems like the hot team coming in. What kind of crowd is there going to be at the Liberty Bowl on a Friday night? You think it's going to be half full, or do you think it's going to be pretty lively?
Yeah, I would say you're probably going to get at least half full, and I would think it's going to be kind of a lively crowd. I mean, there's not a lot else going on to compete with it, so yeah, I would think it's going to be a good crowd.
All right, on Saturday, early noon Eastern kick, the Tennessee Volunteers down in Cajun country playing kind of a helter-skelter LSU team. You don't know what you're going to get with them each week, but I can tell you with Tennessee, you've got an offensive firepower each and every week. Tennessee rolling, trying to get to that Alabama-Georgia section of the schedule undefeated. Tennessee laying 3 on the road at LSU, over under 65. Where you go with this one, Big Daddy C?
Yeah, I would probably have to say on Tennessee. I think they're more consistent and probably got a little bit better offense than LSU. You're just not really sure, like you say, what you're going to get with LSU. It is a hard place to win in Baton Rouge, but I think right now the Vols got a lot to play for, and they still got a lot of air in their balloon, and probably till they hit Alabama or Georgia. So right now I'm staying on Tennessee.
All right, big matchup down in the Bayou. Tennessee from the East facing perennial SEC West powerhouse LSU. Arkansas, off the loss to Alabama, had a good third quarter, really scored some points on Bama, made it a game, but then Bama just pushed them away and took over in the fourth quarter and covered the spread. Arkansas reeling after 2 straight losses in the SEC, and they hit this red-hot Mississippi State team who just destroyed Texas A&M last week in Starkville. Early game, Mississippi State 9.5, over under 59.5.
Yeah, wow. I don't know. 9.5 seems like a lot. I do like State to win, but I might have to take my chances with Arkansas on the points. Just say it's a close game.
Would it change your mind if I told you of the picks that Badlands Brandon sent in? He sent in the Hogs plus 9.5 against his team, Mississippi State.
Yes, you would change my mind. I will now officially put out Mississippi State. I will change my mind. I do think Mississippi State is the go-to bet in this one after hearing that.
Yeah, so Badlands Brandon sent us a 3-game parlay. I'm going to go ahead and pop it up here on the screen so we can get this out of the way. Everybody wants to have the clown picks. We'll give them out. In the first SEC game that we already discussed, he likes Tennessee laying the 3 at LSU. His next game, he loves Arkansas, loves them, plus 9.5 at his team. His favorite college team is probably Mississippi State with Baylor, a close second. But he likes the Hogs getting the points. And then he likes Ole Miss minus 17 Ole Miss coming off a close game and a big win at home against Kentucky. Who is Ole Miss playing this week? Minus 17. That's a lot of points. Vanderbilt on the road in Nashville. He likes Ole Miss minus 17. Let's stay there with this game, Big Daddy. See, Vanderbilt, they got over that win total in the non-conference. They won 3 out of 4. Their win total was only 2.5. Are they going to be able to win an SEC game?
No. Well, do they play Missouri? Missouri, if they play Missouri, that might be their one chance to get another win. If they don't play Missouri, I'm going to say no. They got no other chance for a win, and I don't think it's definitely going to come here against Ole Miss. Ole Miss has got it going. They're playing really good right now. I hate to be on the same side as the Clown, but I do think he's probably going to get Tennessee and Ole Miss right, and we'll just say he gets the Arkansas wrong.
There you go. All right. Clown pick 3-game parlay. SEC, all SEC 3-game parlay. Tennessee minus 3. Arkansas plus 9.5. Ole Miss against lowly Vanderbilt minus 17. Sticking with the SEC, Big Daddy C. We've got Missouri, who you just mentioned, who played an incredible game but couldn't win it at home last Saturday night against Georgia. They go down to Florida catching 11. Missouri played good, went to overtime and lost to Auburn. Played good, almost beat Georgia, lost by less than a touchdown. Now they're catching 11 at Florida, over under 55.5.
Yeah, I think, that was just a good spot for Missouri to get up. They had the number one team in the nation coming to their house, and they were probably really hyped and probably put out 120% effort. I don't think you probably get that same effort against them in Gainesville. And for that reason, I'm going to take the Gators in this one.
Big Daddy C likes the Gators. Auburn at Georgia in the big game. Well, Georgia once again finds himself a 30-point favorite this weekend. Auburn played hard against LSU but couldn't win. And now they're getting 30 between the hedges in Georgia, over under 49. Such a small total with such a big spread. It looks like they expect Georgia's defense to dominate here.
Yeah, by the looks of that, they look like they're predicting Auburn maybe to only get a touchdown or less. But I do think you take the 30 here. It's kind of like the Missouri deal. This is Auburn's time to get up. I think if they give a good effort this season, this could be it. So I'll take the 30.
South Carolina at Kentucky. Kentucky laying 6, coming off their first loss of the year in the Grove to Ole Miss, over under 46.5. South Carolina has not looked good at all this year to speak of. But Kentucky, maybe a little air out of the balloon with that first loss. Who you like here?
Yeah, maybe a little air out of the balloon, but I think they get it back together. They had a real chance to beat Ole Miss there. That was really a close game.
Yeah. Turnover.
I think a turnover. Yeah, right. I think Kentucky gets it back together at home, and I think they win this one and cover. I like Kentucky here to get back on track. I think they're really a better team.
Okay, and then the big one, Jimbo Fisher goes into Tuscaloosa to face Alabama. And, the big thing this summer, media days and all that, was the two coaches going at it, Jimbo and who's Alabama coach, the GOAT? What's his name? Just drew a blank.
Oh, now you made me draw a blank. Nick
Saban. Thank God Almighty. If you can't remember Nick Saban's name, you probably shouldn't be doing a sports gambling show, but that's okay. Nick Saban. We got a lot to cover here. So anyway, Saban and Jimbo Fisher went at it all summer long about recruiting in the new world with NIL deals, and Saban said Texas A&M bought every player, and Jimbo Fisher came back and said what a narcissist Nick Saban was, and how you should look into his past, and he's not too spotless, and they didn't buy one player at A&M. So that was a big dust-up over the summer. A&M, Georgia, and Alabama, the top 3 teams coming into the SEC, with Georgia and Alabama having the nod, but A&M being the team maybe expected to break through and knock them off the top. Well, A&M has completely underperformed. Really should have lost 3 games if the field goal hadn't hit the top of the upright for Arkansas. and now they go to Tuscaloosa. So the preseason line on this game, Big Daddy C, was A&M catching 15.5. That was the summer line when the dust-up happened. And now after A&M has 2 losses, which could be 3, and Alabama only tested once by Texas on the road, this line is now at 24, a full 9 points from where they had it in the summer just based off of rosters. And the over-under is 51.5. So just off of value alone, and I'm telling you nothing more than value, you have to take Texas A&M. That line's gone 9 points. If you wanted Alabama, you should have got them earlier. Now it's at 24. Also, Alabama, with their backup quarterback in, he was great against Arkansas. He's a running quarterback. Their Heisman Trophy winner out another week with a shoulder injury. He got hurt in the Arkansas game. I think Saban's going to play it pretty close to the vest here and try to win it on defense, not be too flashy on offense with the backup quarterback. And I think you're going to get A&M's best effort after getting embarrassed last week. So here you go. My first PlayTourX.org Birdie Play of the Week. Give me Texas A&M and give me 24. I'll take it. Yes, Alabama's going to win this game, but I think it's going to be somewhere between 12 and 20 points. So give me Texas A&M. What do you think about that call, Big Daddy C?
Well, I definitely like Alabama to win the game. I think they're going to have a little fire in their belly, a little grudge from last year, and want to really put a whooping on A&M's. But I do like your pick. I do think A&M will keep it close enough. I think if I were to play this one, though, I would take my chances with the over. I don't know that Nick Saban will be so conservative. He might be trying to get this guy ready in case the starting quarterback don't come back next week or the next. So I don't know that he keeps it so conservative, but I'd be leaning a little more towards the over in this one.
All right. Birdie Play of the Week from PlayTourX.org. Your host, Jason Nall, likes Texas A&M plus the boatload of points, 24. Don't go anywhere. We're going to grab a quick break. We've gone through the SEC. We will go through the rest of the college football slate when we return. Welcome back. It's Nall or Nothing. I'm your host, Jason Nall. Glad to be with you again this week, whether you've caught us on 101.3 The Buzz on your FM dial or WNWS TV at WNWS.com, on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, or maybe on the Nall or Nothing YouTube channel. Any way you found us, we're glad you're here, and we're going to keep these picks coming your way. Big Daddy C, let's jump back into football outside the SEC now. The Red River rivalry, Texas at Oklahoma. Both teams with 2 losses. Oklahoma been absolutely curb stomped last week by TCU before losing the week before at home to Kansas State. Texas lost to rival Texas Tech and to Alabama. Big game for both sides. Texas comes in a 7-point favorite. I think there's some recency bias here as Oklahoma go back 2 weeks before those 2 Oklahoma losses, and Oklahoma would have been a 7-point favorite in my mind. 7, that's an awful lot in Dallas, over under 65. Where do you sit on the Red River rivalry?
Yeah, I think the Red River rivalry will be like usual, probably a shootout. So I would lean towards the over in this. I don't really like a side as much. I would be just looking for a shootout, and I'm going to put a little piece of money on the over in this one.
All right, Big Daddy C says put a little pizza money for your viewing pleasure on the over 65. TCU coming off the biggest win in recent history with a just absolute curb stop drubbing of Oklahoma last week. They go on the road to maybe the hottest team in the country, Kansas. Kansas has already gone over their win total, and they're 5-0. 5-0 after just 4 or 5 years of absolute misery up there in Lawrence, Kansas. Now they host TCU, and they're catching 7 at home. Do they stay hot? Does Kansas stay hot and take it to 6-0, Big Daddy C?
Well, I hate to break the trends. Kansas is playing good. They probably covered several in a row, but I'm going to take a shot with the Frogs. I mean, they looked awesome last week, so I'm going to lay the 7, and I think Kansas goes down this week.
Purdue at Maryland. This is a big game for me. I like Maryland. Purdue played inspired, won on the road at Minnesota last week. The clown was on Minnesota. He was one of his picks he gave out. They were a 12-point favorite. Of course, they lose outright. That's how bad that guy is right now. I like Maryland here. They're a small favorite, 3-point favorite at home. You're asking Purdue to win 2 games in a row on the road in conference. Maryland played Michigan good last week in defeat. Let me give it out. That is another Play Tour X Birdie Play of the Week. My second college play, Maryland laying the 3 against Purdue. Pick that one apart, Big Daddy C.
Yeah, I don't know. I would like to ride with you on Maryland, but you burnt me, I think, in week 2 on Maryland. I don't even remember who they were playing now, but I got burnt there in week 2 on your Maryland pick. Do you remember who they were playing?
Yes, they were playing, I think, Rutgers, and they were 24-point favorite. They won by 19.
Yeah. So I got burned on them there. I don't think I'll play the game, but I'll root you in, and I like your pick.
Maryland -3, the second college football Play Tour X Birdie Play of the Week. All right. Talk us through Louisville and Virginia. Noon kickoff, early game on Saturday. Louisville -3, over under 50.5.
Yeah, that's going to be one of my big plays. I really like Louisville here. I think Louisville's just going to outscore them. I think it's that simple. I think Louisville has a better offense, and they're just going to simply outscore them. So I'll have the big jumbo bucks on Louisville in this one.
I can't argue with you there. Big Daddy C 1000 big plays of the week. Only one college pick this week from Big Daddy C, and this is it. He likes Louisville on the road at Virginia, laying the 3. Well, Virginia I had last week to beat Duke, and they were never in that game. Duke having lost at Kansas. I thought maybe they'd come back down to earth after the loss. They did not. They beat the crud out of Virginia. And so Virginia's obviously not that good because Duke is obviously not that good. So let's take Louisville on the road. Let's ride Big Daddy C 1000. Let's say his one college coin he's given us this week. Louisville can get there on the road laying just 3. Rolling down the line, next we've got Utah at UCLA. This is a big game for me, although I won't be playing the game outright. I've got UCLA in futures bet to win the Pac-12 and to make the college football playoff at good odds, but nothing happens if they can't beat this tough Utah team at home. Utah is a tough out. They're nothing but heart, and they got a lot of talent too. But they certainly have the heart to go along with the talent. And Utah, they're a 4-point favorite in the Rose Bowl against UCLA, over under 64.5. Big Daddy C, I'm a bystander here pulling for UCLA. Utah's your team. You on them again this week?
Yeah, I've had Utah twice in a row, and if I were to play this game, I would definitely ride the trend. I would take Utah again. I don't think Utah loses the rest of the season. I think they're going to end up in the top 5, top 6. I think that one loss at LSU was just kind of fluke. LSU was up. It was a first game.
Florida, start of the season.
At Florida, I'm sorry. At Florida, I think that was just kind of a fluke. A tough place to play, though, SEC team in Gainesville. But I think that Utah has got it together now. I think they win the rest of the season. I do like them here, but I will not put them out as my pick this week. I've just cashed on them twice. I'll just wait and see, but I like them. I think they're going to win out the rest of the year.
All right, let's go Bruins. Let's go Chip Kelly. Let's go DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who I have a little pizza money on to win the Heisman. He's having a great year. Let's see if they can get themselves thrust into the national spotlight with a big win at home over Utah. Texas Tech at Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is now a sneaky over team, Big Daddy C. The last 2 years, Oklahoma State was all defensive driven. Well, now they've got a high-powered offense. Even Oklahoma State, Baylor went over last week. This game, Oklahoma State a 9-point favorite at home. Over under 68.5. This is me trying to be you. I want to ride the trend. I'm going to take the over 68.5. Texas Tech and Oklahoma State. Virginia Tech at Pittsburgh. We knew you needed to fade Pittsburgh with all their injuries, and they'd gotten kind of lucky early in the season. Last week was a week to do it. They didn't cover and lost outright, but now they come back home. They're a 14.5-point favorite over this woefully awful Virginia Tech team. Can you fade them again, or is Virginia Tech just too bad to play, Big Daddy C?
Yeah, this is a tough one. I remember early in the season, I called, I think when they played Tennessee, that Tennessee would definitely be under the top 17 and Pittsburgh wouldn't be in the top 20, and they're not going to be. They're probably not going to be in the top 40 by the end of the season. They're not very good, but I don't know if you can play them here. I mean, 14.5, I don't really like laying that many with them, and I don't want to take the points with them. So for me, I really won't play this game.
Probably a pass for me too. I might catch it in game if maybe Pittsburgh were to get up early and maybe grab some extra points and see if maybe they run out of gas in the second half. But yeah, no play for me as well. Wisconsin at Northwestern. We've had a checkered past with Northwestern, to say the least, this year. They beat us black and blue on both sides of the win and loss coin. Wisconsin fires Paul Chryst last week after they got embarrassed by Ohio State. I don't know what they thought was going to happen in Wisconsin. Did they think they were going to compete with Ohio State? They never do. Anyway, they fired their coach. So Wisconsin, without a coach, a 10-point favorite at Northwestern. Is this time to get back on our Northwestern team, Big Daddy C, catching 10 against a coachless Wisconsin?
Yeah, I don't know. This is another one I won't be playing simply because I've been burned on Northwestern already twice this year, so I won't be playing it. But I could see you taking Wisconsin and say they play hard for the interim coach, or they play hard because they've gotten rid of their coach, or I could see you taking Northwestern and take the points. So for me, it's not really a play. I won't be playing this game.
Ohio State at Michigan State. Ohio State, like we said, went to Wisconsin, thumped them, got the coach fired, embarrassed them at home. Now they go to Sparty. Sparty is not the same Sparty they were last year. This Sparty team is going to be lucky to get bowl eligible. Ohio State, a 27-point favorite over under 65. For me, in this one, it's Ohio State or nothing, Big Daddy C.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, Ohio State or nothing here.
Miami now hosts North Carolina. Miami having lost 2 in a row, one at A&M, not so bad, but one at home to Middle Tennessee State. Ooh, that one smarts. I can't stand that Mario Cristobal, the coach that left Oregon and went to Miami. He'd made his deal with Miami about midway through the season last year, and you could tell it after the fact because his team quit down the stretch, had no heart. And this Miami team's starting to look just like that Oregon team he had last year. No heart. Miami 3.5 at home against a high-scoring North Carolina offense, over under 66. Is this a bounce-back spot for Miami?
I don't know. It may be hard to bounce back if you're just simply no good. I don't think I would take Miami. So, if I were to play, I'd fade Miami.
Duke is hot. They're really hot. They're 4-1 on the season. They've already eclipsed their win total. Only loss at equally hot or hotter Kansas. They're on the road at Georgia Tech, who has fired their coach already. Big rumors are that Deion Sanders is a top candidate for Georgia Tech. Duke just on fire, and Georgia Tech no good. Duke laying 3.5 over under 53.5. I can't do it because I bet against Duke already this year, Big Daddy C. Maybe you could jump in and ride the trend here with Duke.
Yeah, I could take Duke. I could see it happening in this one. They're obviously a lot better than their ranking was at the beginning of the season. But I would be looking to get the line at 3. I don't like those 3.5. That 3.5 is just an awful number, I think. So if I could get it at 3, I'd be a lot more interested. 3.5 is just not a good number to lay.
All right. Washington State now at USC, and USC has quietly done what the big boys in Vegas thought they would do with the big win total for USC and making them the favorite of the Pac 12. Even after a 4-win campaign last year, Lincoln Riley has come over. The quarterback from Oklahoma has come over. The wide receiver from Pittsburgh has gone west, and they are running roughshod out there. They're a 13-point favorite at home against Wazoo. I don't see any reason to bet Washington State here. No way, no how. It's USC or nothing. It looks like a favorite and a favorite fest. I know I can't give you a good dog right now, but I just couldn't take Washington State against USC. You differ there, Big Daddy C?
No, I'm right there with you. If I play it, I'll be on USC. They're hot. They're putting up the points. They're playing good. So I'll be on USC if I'm to play that one.
Almost forgotten after an 0-2 start is Notre Dame. Well, they're going to play on NBC against BYU on Saturday night at 7:30. Notre Dame a 3.5-point favorite, over under 51. Touchdown Jesus, Notre Dame, or do you think the Cougars, the Mormons, are going to get it done? Catholics or Mormons here, Big Daddy C?
Yeah, I don't know if I'll take a side on the religion part of it. I think I'll just take the under and say maybe neither team scores too much. It's kind of a defensive battle. So I'll be putting a little piece of money on the under in this one.
Border War in the Big Ten, 7:30 Eastern, Iowa at Illinois. And as bad as I talked to Brett Bielema to start this season, he has proved me wrong so far. Another team that is they're 1 win away from being over their win total early. Played really, really well all year long. Iowa has not looked good. Illinois is a small favorite, 3.5 points. Look at this total, Big Daddy C, 36.5. The lowest college football total I have seen so far this year. Looks like a mud fight in Illinois. I'll take Brett Bielema minus the 3.5. I think they can score enough, whereas Iowa can't score. Where do you stand on this Big Ten matchup?
Yeah, I think I'll have to take the other side. I'm saying Iowa's probably due for a little improvement. So I'm going to take the 3.5. I'm going to take that field goal. I'm saying it's such a low total that it's going to be a very close game. And that 3.5 you're going to want. And it might be that half that wins this. So I want Iowa in this one. That 3.5 is going to make you a winner.
Sounds good. Sounds good. You might have just swayed me over to bet against Brett Bielema one more time. Florida State took their first loss of the year last year, and according to Vegas, they're going to get their second one this week at NC State. NC State, just a field goal favorite, over under 48.5.
Yeah, Florida State's been my team. I played them a few times this year. I like them. I think they get back on track. I think they're going to right the ship. I'm going to take the 3. I like Florida State to win this one. I'll take the 3, and I'll have a little sprinkled on the money line. I like Florida State to get back on track with the win here.
Well, they got boat raced by a better offensive team in Wake Forest last week, and now they're going to face a better defensive team than they are in North Carolina State this week. They're going to have to score some points to hang in this game. So if you like Florida State, you might as well get on that over 48.5. Parlay those two together. I believe if Florida State wins it, it's going over. That's what I would say. If you like Florida State, it's correlated in my mind over 48.5 as well. Oregon at Arizona. Arizona, one of the worst teams in the Pac-12. Oregon has looked pretty good since they got absolutely annihilated by Georgia to start the season. Oregon 13 on the road, over under 70.5.
Yeah, Oregon's that team like Utah. They lost the first one, and then they've righted the ship. They've looked good. So I'm not going to try to break that trend. If I play this one, my dollars will be on Oregon.
All right, his dollars will be on Oregon. Let's go to our next break. We're going to catch another break, but as we do so, I'm going to put up our college football summary for our viewers on WNWS TV and on YouTube. This comes to you via Chris Logan, one of our YouTube followers. Chris Logan over there in North Carolina said, "Can you put up a summary for us after each segment?" I said, "That sounds like a great idea to me, Chris." So here we go. On your screen, you've got our college football pick summary. I'll read it out for our radio listeners. Nall likes Texas A&M plus 24, Maryland minus 3. Big Daddy C1000, he likes Louisville minus 3. Badlands Brandon phoned his plays in this week while he's dealing with floods over there in South Haven. Badlands Brandon likes Tennessee minus 3, Arkansas plus 9.5, and Ole Miss minus 17. Says parlay them together. Sooner or later, I'm going to hit one of these parlays, Badlands, Brandon says. We're going to catch a quick break. We'll be back to go over the NFL card for the week, and then we'll put together the show bets. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. It's Nall or Nuthin on 101.3 The Buzz on your FM dial, WNWS TV, and at WNWS.com, and our YouTube channel, Nall or Nuthin. That's NALLORNUTHIN. Search it up, like, and subscribe to that Nall or Nuthin YouTube channel. Big Daddy C1000, NFL. It is time to get with it. And on Thursday night in the NFL, we got a pretty good game again this week on that Amazon Prime. I know you're a little bit tech challenged sometimes. You got the Amazon Prime going over there so you can watch these Thursday night games in Bartlett?
No, I ain't got that going yet. I've kind of missed out on Thursday night, but I just usually follow it on the computer and watch the play-by-play on the computer, so it's not that big a deal.
Well, we don't want to miss this Thursday night because it is one of your host, Jason Nall's PlayTourX.org Birdie Plays of the Week right out of the chute. I've got a money line parlay for you this week in NFL. The first half of that money line parlay, give me the Broncos minus 185 money line. They're a 3.5 point favorite in the game. I don't necessarily like that. I think they're going to win it. It may be a close game, but the Colts, without Jonathan Taylor, who is the straw that stirs their drink, facing the tough defense of the Denver Broncos. I know Denver has had their offensive struggles this year, but they're going to get this win at home if they have to do it with defense alone. Matty Ice has been Matty Lice in Indianapolis, and he can't do it alone. I like Denver. I like Denver to get this win. Let's take them on the money line. And we're going to parlay it. I'll give you the second half of that parlay in a minute. What do you think, Big Daddy C? Denver lost on the road at Las Vegas last week, giving Las Vegas Raiders an inside the division win and their first win of the year. I think they bounce right back against this woeful Colts team. Where do you stand?
Yeah, I say both these teams are a lot worse than they were predicted to be at the beginning of the season, and neither one of them is playing very well, in my opinion. So I think your Broncos maybe could get there. I'm not saying it's an awful pick or a great pick, but I would probably ride with the Broncos at home. But I think the play here would maybe just be to take the under. Just say neither one's playing good, neither one's scoring much. Just take the under and sit there and watch.
Well, the unders have been hot all season long, and if you want to get on the under in that game, it's just 42. But 42 may be an awful lot to these offenses. However, I do think Denver's offense is going to put a few points up this week. So I'm going to steer away from that under. I'm just going with Denver. I believe they win the game at home on Thursday night, and it is one half of my NFL money line parlay. Back in London again this week, the Packers, who got it done for our survivor play, but certainly not for the gamblers. They barely won last week. They won in overtime against the Packers. Now they go across the pond to face the 3-1 New York Giants. Again, Packers really keep getting these cupcake teams. I'm ready for the Packers to play some real teams, but the Giants, they're catching 8. Over under 40.5 for the Packers. 8 points better than anybody after what we've seen from them this year, Big Daddy C.
Yeah, well, we talked about this, I think, last week or the week before. This is the stretch where the Packers have the least days of rest out of any NFL team in the league. So I think that could lead to the advantage for the Giants. I'm going to take the Giants here plus the 8.
Okay, I think you may be right there. I'm probably going to just put a little pizza money on this game if I get up in time Sunday morning. It's not one of my key games. Certainly looking to fade the Packers when they get back from across the pond, because then they'll be even on less rest. But if anything, I'm with you. Take the 8 and the Giants. Next up, Tennessee Titans at the Washington Commanders. Titans' second game in a row on the road. They had a big win at Indianapolis last week to take control of the division early. They had a big win at the Giants the week before that. They've kind of righted the ship here. Titans at Commanders. I like the Commanders. I don't think the Titans can win 2 in a row on the road. Give me Washington. Now, let me tell you why. This, for the entire team, for Carson Wentz, for the coaching staff, if they lose this game, the season's over. It is over, and it's a death march for all of them. They're all going to get fired. You're going to get Washington's absolute best effort this week. Is that enough? I don't know, but give me the team that has to give you the best effort. I'm going to take them on the money line to win the game outright, plus 110, and that's my parlay. Broncos and Commanders money line NFL parlay. Take the Broncos Thursday night, the Commanders on Sunday, parlay them together, sit back, and get ready to cash a ticket, Big Daddy C.
Yeah. What y'all need to be getting ready to do if you take the Commanders is get a second job because you're going to need it to pay for these losses. This guy's put out Commanders 2 weeks in a row, and it's going to be the third week. He's going to triple up to lose triple. The Commanders stink. They are awful. Georgia, Alabama could beat the Commanders. You take the Commanders here, you're going to lose again. Get off those stupid, stinking Commanders. They're no good. Get on Tennessee. They righted the ship. They had a rocky start, but they're ready to go now. Tennessee wins this one easily, probably by 10 or more.
No way, no how. Everybody's job is on the line in Washington. You're going to get a spirited effort out of these Commanders this week, and this is the time to jump on Washington. All right, moving down the line. Pittsburgh Steelers at Buffalo Bills. The Bills now a 14.5-point favorite, Big Daddy C. No way, no how do I think Pittsburgh can win this game at Buffalo. Can Buffalo cover that big old spread over under 46?
I think they can. I told you earlier that Trubinsky's no good, and I told you I don't think he'll be the starting quarterback at the end of the year. I think Buffalo wins easily. I think it's a great survivor pick. It's going to be one of those where people load them, though. It's going to be a heavy jumbo favorite in the survivor. I'm not going to take it personally, but it is a survivor that will win. I would much rather have Buffalo minus 14. I don't like those halves. I don't want 14.5, but I do think they're going to cover either way, 14, 14.5. Buffalo's just much better.
Well, you can chop around. Some sites have got it at 14, some at 14.5. I don't know that it'll ever break through to 13.5, but if you want 14, that's why we talk about having accounts, multiple accounts with these legal betting sites in Tennessee. You can shop around and maybe you can find that half point at one site where it's 14 at one and 14.5 at the other. I'm with you. If you can find it at 14, it's worth shopping. That's a big half point. Big Daddy C's big play of the week. NFL is first one. Buffalo laying the 14.5. Atlanta Falcons at Tampa Bay Bucks. The Bucks have been roughed up at home 2 weeks in a row by Green Bay first, and then the Chiefs last week. Third game in a row at home for Tampa Bay before it's about to get a lot rougher, and they got to go on the road, Big Daddy C. They are a 9-point favorite against this Atlanta Falcons squad who beat the Browns last week, killed one of my survivor tickets. What do you think? Bucks minus 9, over under 47.5.
Yeah, the Bucks aren't playing very good, and Atlanta really is probably playing better than anybody thought at the beginning of the season. I'm not a fan of the teasers, and I've done this once this year, but this is one I think you could take, and you can tease either way. You could take Atlanta plus the whatever you get, 15, 16, or you could take Tampa Bay down to almost a pick 'em. I mean, I like Tampa Bay. I think they're going to win. I just don't know if they cover the 8. So this is one of those teaser plays maybe that you just tease either way.
All right, he likes Tampa Bay. That's one we'll put over here to the side. We'll talk about when it comes next segment when we put our show plays together. Maybe a live pick for Survivor. Miami Dolphins, Les Tua, who is now definitely in concussion protocol for a few weeks. At the Jets played spirited last week, came back and won at Pittsburgh. Now the Dolphins a tiny little favorite with Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback. Only 3 points on the road at the Jets. With some of these big wins the Dolphins have had this year so far, that seems awful fishy to me, Big Daddy C.
Yeah, that Teddy Bridgewater, he's not the best quarterback in the NFL by no means. He's probably near the bottom, but is it enough to get done against the Jets? I'm just not sure. So this one I'll be sitting out and watching.
I'm going to lean Jets plus the 3 here. Don't know exactly how I'm going to play it yet. It might be a teaser play. It might be a straight up play, but I'm going to lean Jets with that fishy looking line to me, plus the 3. Lions at the Patriots. The Lions got outraced, lost 48-45 in a wild game against Seattle last week. Still have a couple of offensive weapons out. The Patriots, they want to grind you to death with the running game. They ran all over Green Bay when Green Bay knew they were going to run it every down. Patriots only a 3-point favorite here at home, 45.5.
Yeah, this is another tough one for me because I don't know really what's going to happen. I mean, you know that New England's going to take the ball and try to run and use clock and play more of a defensive game, whereas Detroit, they got to put the points up. So it's a tough one for me. It's another one I won't be playing.
I'm your host, Jason Nall. This is our guest contributor, Big Daddy C1000, Master Handicapper. Be sure to follow our Twitter handle at Big Daddy C1000, where we post our plays throughout the week at Big Daddy C1000. Chargers won on the road at Houston easily last week. Now they are again on the road at the Browns, who lost a close one to Atlanta. This one is a tough game to call for me. It's tough to win 2 on the road if you're the Chargers. However, I think they're probably the better team than the Browns. The Browns catching 2.5 at home, over under 47.5.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is another tough one. I would probably not worry about the line. Whoever I took here, I maybe would just take on the money line. But I think if I were to play this one, I'd probably have a little pizza money and maybe just take the over in it.
Over 47.5 from Big Daddy C. The Bears and the Vikings. Bears travel up north to Minnesota. Close trip for them. Minnesota having to come all the way back from England, from London last week, where they eked out a win against the Saints. Vikings 7-point favorite, over under 44.
Yeah, this is one I like. I like the Vikings. I think they're just a better team. I don't think they're a great team because of Kirk Cousins. If they could get a real quarterback, I think they would be a great team. But I think they got enough to handle the Bears.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins does well when the bright lights aren't on him. The problem is in the playoffs, the bright lights will be on him, and he has not done well in primetime or Monday night games. Jags at home, and they're hot. They almost pulled off the win at Philadelphia last week. Got a big lead, couldn't hold on. Now they host the Texans Jaguars, a 7-point favorite, over under 43.
Yeah, just to jump back right fast, I do think Minnesota could be used as a survivor play, and that'll lead me to Jacksonville. I do think they could be used as a survivor play here. I think Jacksonville is really playing good. I think Houston kind of got off to a good start, but they've kind of faded since then. So I think Jacksonville is a really good play here. I think you load Jacksonville. If you could maybe get it down to under 7, that'd be even better. But I think you can lay the 7 here with Jacksonville playing good and at home and be a winner.
Well, this line has tugged down the shade. It was 7.5, now to 7, which is better if you wanted to back Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville's playing good football right now. Maybe the best they're going to play all year. Not a bad time to think about them in Survivor, right?
Yeah, I think it'd be good to get rid of Jacksonville because it might be harder later in the year to find good spots. I think this is a good spot against a team that's kind of fading, not playing as good as they started off. So I think this is a good spot for Jacksonville.
That's Big Daddy C's big play of the week, number 2 in the NFL. He'll take Jacksonville, the Jaguars, laying 7.5 at home. Seahawks travel to New Orleans. New Orleans again having to come back from London with these out-of-the-country games. Seahawks' second game in a row on the road. Saints 5.5-point favorite. Red Rifle expected to start again for them with Jameis Winston hurt. Over under 46.
Yeah, I would probably just take my chances with New Orleans here being at home. I think they'll probably get the win.
You're probably right, but I'm telling you, Seattle is playing good. That's another team that's playing the best they can play right now. They're not a good team, but they're playing hard. Tough one for me. I got to sit that one out myself. Maybe get involved in an end game if it leans one way or the other and I see an angle. 49ers come all the way across the country to the East Coast to Carolina to play the Panthers. They get a little bit of a break. It's an afternoon game, not a noon kickoff. Panthers reeling, and the fans disgusted. Baker Mayfield and the offense booed continuously in the second half against Arizona last week. Now they catch 6.5 against a red-hot Jimmy Garoppolo-led 49ers. Tiny over-under 39. Do the Panthers, can they get the red ass and get motivated and get it together, or will they not be able to score against the San Francisco defense?
Yeah, they're going to get it together and surprise somebody. I just don't think it's going to be this week. I like the 49ers here. They looked good last week, so I think you take the 49ers and lay the points in this one.
They definitely look good. I think they catch a break with an afternoon game, even more time to get acclimated to the East Coast. Cowboys, go west. Go west, Cowboys. And they face the defending Super Bowl champion LA Rams, who got kicked around on Monday Night Football by the San Francisco 49ers. The Rams got manhandled in the second half. Rams 4.5-point favorite over the Cowboys, over under 43. I said it last week. Now I'll say it even louder this week. Cowboys absolutely playing on house money with 3 wins while Dak was injured under the leadership of Cooper Rush under center. The Rams have moved to a 5.5-point favorite. The money's coming in on the Rams. I like the Rams as long as it stays under 6. I don't see it going backwards here. I'm probably going to get involved in this early in case it does tick up to 6. I like it under 6 points. I like the Rams. Where do you stand?
Yeah, I think the Rams probably are a better team, and I like them being at home. But how can you go against Dallas right now? I mean, they're hot. And I think if Cooper Rush wins this, he's the first Dallas starting quarterback to win 4 games in a row. Is that right?
Yeah, you may be right. I don't know that stat.
Yeah, I think that's the stat. I heard it a week or so ago. But I think if he wins, it's the first Dallas quarterback that wins 4 in a row or something. So I think they're going to give a good effort for him. So I don't know that the Rams are a deadbolt cinch lock. I lean Rams, but I won't go against Dallas right now. They're too hot.
Okay, I hear you. All right, Philadelphia Eagles out west to Arizona playing the Cardinals. Cardinals had a great second half a couple of weeks ago in Las Vegas, a great second half in Carolina. Now they're back home where they've laid an egg in both their home starts this year. They face the only undefeated team in the league in the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Eagles are being treated as if they are the best team in the league. A big 5.5-point favorite at Arizona. Kyler Murray, or do you like Hurts and the Eagles?
Yeah, I think you can take a little shot on the over here, but I really like the Eagles. I'm going to play them till they lose. I think the Eagles are going to win. So in this one, I would lead Eagles first and maybe lean a little towards the over. I think Arizona's finally going to put up some points at home, and the Eagles can put up points, although they did have a bad second half last week. But I like Eagles and over.
Yeah, the Eagles are really, I think they've covered every game this year so far. So what can you say? They're hot. I lean Arizona, but I agree with you on the over. Bengals at the Ravens. The Bengals seem to have found their groove and are playing good football again. The Ravens can't. They should be 4-0. The Ravens should be undefeated. They've blown games. against the Bills last week, and then they had a big lead there, and then they blew that huge lead against Miami. They just can't seem to figure out how to close out games. Ravens 3-point favorite at home over Joe Burrow and the Bengals.
Yeah, the Cincinnati, they just haven't been able to put up those points like they did last year, but it's coming. And I think this could be the week because I don't think Baltimore's defense is that good, and Baltimore's put them up. So this one I really like. I like the over. If I could catch it at 48, I'd feel a lot better. But 48.5, I still think you'll be fine. I think this one's going over. I think they're both putting up a lot of points from the kickoff.
Third leg of Big Daddy C's big plays of the week. The third leg of his NFL plays, 3 NFL picks, another total. He's going to take the Ravens over 48.5. Washington Commanders. I've already talked about them. I'm sorry, not the Washington Commanders. The Las Vegas Raiders. I've already talked about them. They got their first win last week at home. They are now sitting at 1-3 on the season, and they go face their arch rival, the Kansas City Chiefs, who for the most part have looked like the Chiefs of old. Chiefs are a 7-point favorite on Monday Night Football, over under 51. Chiefs come off a big Sunday night win, just ran roughshod over Tampa Bay. I like this play. It's one of my favorite plays of the week and definitely my favorite underdog of the week outside of Washington. Those Commanders getting 2.5 at home. My next favorite underdog, love the Raiders in the rivalry game. I think they can hang with Kansas City, and I wouldn't be surprised if they won it outright. A lot of parity in this AFC West. Kansas City has looked much the best, and LA got off to a slow start, but I think LA can hang with Kansas City on Monday night and keep it inside a touchdown. You, Big Daddy C?
Are you drinking tonight? What in the world are you thinking? No, I don't think the Raiders are even going to be close. Kansas City has looked like world beaters. We did like the Raiders last week because we just didn't think they would go 0-for at home. We thought they would get that win. But no way. Kansas City looks way too good. I like Kansas City here. I think you lay the 7. A lot of the Raiders' troubles this year have just been putting up points, and we know Kansas City's going to put them up. I think Kansas City's just going to get them in a shootout and just outscore them. So, no, I like Kansas City, and that's an awful pick on the Raiders.
Give me the Raiders. Give me the points. You heard it from your host, Jason Nall. Don't listen to that at Big Daddy C1000 on this one. Take the points in the rivalry game. Take the Raiders. We're going to get our last break. When we come back, we'll hash it out. Our show bets, we'll hash them out right here in front of you. Don't go anywhere. NFL Summary Board now posted for our viewers on WNWS TV and Nall or Nuthin YouTube channel. Welcome back to the final segment of Nall or Nuthin for this week. We're going to hash it out. We're going to hash out those show bets. There are no bets like show bets. So let's remind our viewers and listeners, we are in a DraftKings pool, the $1 million survivor pool. And in that pool, you pick a team to win in the NFL. If they win, you move on to the next week. If they lose, you are eliminated. The last man standing or the last men or women standing at the end of the season will either have all of the $1 million or divided amongst the last people standing. Here's the catch. Once you've used a team, you can no longer use that team for the rest of the season. So we've got to figure that one out, and we were in a $1 million NFL season-long pick'em contest where we pick 5 games per week in the NFL against the spread. Whoever has the highest winning percentage of all the people in the pool at the end of the season will chop up $1 million with a cool $250,000 going to the top finisher. Let's bring in Big Daddy C and let's get to work. All right, last 2 weeks we've had to call an audible after we did the show and change our survivor bet. It has kept us alive. But let's hope we don't have to do that again this week. Our viewers may start getting aggravated when we're giving these survivor bets. We come back the next week and say, well, we really didn't lose because we changed it. It's really the truth, though. We did that, right? We changed it.
Yeah. Well, you could always put it out on Big Daddy C, tweet it out on Big Daddy C 1000 when we do change it. So, but this week, I'm almost sure we won't be changing this week.
All right, let's start with Survivor. I really got 3 options written down for us. Could be a 4th if you want to use the Bills now. I got Minnesota -7. The spread doesn't mean anything, but we can talk about it in context. To win at home against the Bears. Jacksonville -7 to win at home against the Texans. Tampa Bay -9 to win at home against the Falcons. Bills -14.5 to win at home against Pittsburgh. Make your case for your favorite play for Survivor.
Yeah, well, I think an easy advance is to take the Bills here. I think they're a for sure winner, but I think they're going to be that team that has 50% of the people on them, and I don't want to be on that team because if that, that's how you win is that team losing. So I think the Bills are a winner. I think they're a Survivor advancer, but I don't want to use them. So that leaves me. I like the other ones you have. I like them all: Minnesota, Jacksonville, and Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, I think, is the most risky because Atlanta is giving a good effort right now. So that really leaves me to either Jacksonville or Minnesota. I know you really don't favor Minnesota coming back from London, so I'm fine with Jacksonville. They're playing good, and Houston, I think, is on a downtrend. So I like Jacksonville. It's one of my top picks, so I like Jacksonville in Survivor.
I agree with not taking the Bills. If by chance the craziest loss of the season, which they had a couple last year that eliminated a lot of teams in Survivor. If you remember, they lost as a big favorite on the road at Jacksonville that eliminated us. Maybe that loss comes this week and it cuts the field down, but even nonetheless, it saves us the Bills for another week. So let's throw them out. Minnesota, a conference game, a divisional game, and they are coming off the weird travel. I think they probably win that game, but I don't have the confidence in it that I do in the other two, Jacksonville and Tampa. I'm equally confident in Jacksonville and Tampa to win the game. I'm equally confident in then using both of those teams now. The one argument I would make toward Jacksonville is they're playing better. So if you want the team that's playing better, then I would take Jacksonville over Tampa Bay. We're asking a team that's not playing very well to win. If we take Tampa Bay, we're asking a team that's playing the best they can in Jacksonville to beat a team that's 0-4 and getting worse every week in Houston. So you want to go with Jacksonville?
Yeah, I do. I think that would be my top pick. I'm good with Jacksonville. I think they're a winner this week.
All right, let's do it. Our Survivor play, our Nall or Nothing show bet Survivor play. It's going on Jacksonville to win the game at home against Houston. All right, Big Daddy C. Now we've got to pick out 5 against the spread for our pool play in the DraftKings $1 million season-long pick'em contest. How do we stand so far in that one? What's our record through 3 weeks?
I want to say maybe we're 9-15. If not, we're something close to there. We got to have
15, 9-6, 9 out of 15, right?
Yeah, 9 out of 15. I don't know what I said, but that's what I meant. 9 out
of
15.
So we're well over 50%, which is good. However, 9 out of 15, I'm looking at it right now. 9 out of 15 is the top quarter of the field, but not in the money. So we got to start picking better. We got to get up more around that 70% mark by the end of the season to cash it all. And I know that's a big ask to cash it all, but why not? Why not? If somebody's going to win it, why not us, right?
Why not?
All right, let's look at week 5 picks. I'm going to go through and we'll talk to them game per game, and we'll see if we can come up with 5 we agree on. Denver -3.5 at home against Indianapolis on Thursday night. I would like that one. What do you think there? Can that go in the good pot or no?
Yeah, I'm not hyped on it, but if you're calling Denver, I can see them getting it together at home. I'm fine with putting it in. Basically, it's a pick 'em all. Basically, all they got to do is win at home. So I'm fine with that. That'll give us something to watch on Thursday. Let's put Denver in there.
All right, Denver. Now it's not a pick 'em. They're laying 3.5 here. We need them to win by more than 4 points or more, but we'll take it. My bet, my playtourx.org play was to take Denver on the money line. A little bit of conflict there. New York at Green Bay in London. I don't have a pick for that one. Do you?
Well, if we were, I would be to take Green Bay. But no, I can go on down the list, and I can tell you the two I really like is why don't we just take our survivor pick, Jacksonville minus the 7, and the other one I like is Minnesota at home.
All right, Minnesota and Jacksonville. As far as the pool is concerned, these lines are locked early in the week. Are both 7.5-point favorites. Does that change your mind?
I don't like hearing that at all, but no, I'll stay with them.
All right, you want Minnesota and Jacksonville?
I like them both. If you want to ride with them, if you got better suggestions, we'll put them in there. But I think they're
writing them down right now. And Minnesota minus 7.5. All right, let's keep rolling through. See, I don't have anything. I'm not gonna make you go through the Commanders with me, but I sure do like them. New Orleans and Seattle is a throwout game for me. Tampa Bay, no way, laying 9.5. I like the Jets plus 3.5 against the Dolphins. Where do you sit on that one?
I don't really like it, but I don't like any of the games that you've talked about much either. So if you like the Jets, we'll put them in there.
Buffalo minus 14.5.
Yeah, I could ride with that. I like that one.
New England minus 2.5 against Detroit.
No, I'm just not really sure about that one. I don't know if New England's defense will prevail or Detroit's offense will roll. So I'm not big on either side there.
All right, I think Carolina San Fran's a throwout game. Arizona and Philly. I like Arizona. You like Philly, so let's just move on that one. Dallas and the Rams. We both kind of lean Rams. Do we like them enough to put them in? Probably not. Just sit back and see what Dallas does. That leaves us to Baltimore, Cincinnati. That's a tough one in my mind. You already like the over there, so you need both teams to score. So you can pull for both teams. And Kansas City and Las Vegas. I like Vegas. You like Kansas City, so that one's probably a throwout. So the 5 we have down that we've come to somewhat of an agreement on is Denver minus 3.5, Jacksonville minus 7.5, Minnesota minus 7.5, Jets plus 3.5, and Buffalo minus 14.5.
Yeah, I like it. That's what I think we should do right there.
All right, let's lock it in. Those are our show bets. So for Survivor, and we always reserve the right to change our mind on Survivor if we see a line going funny or something, or a late injury or whatever. And you're right, Big Daddy C. I'll start posting any change we make on at Big Daddy C1000. But right now, and most likely, we're going to have Jacksonville Jaguars that need to win for our Survivor ticket to move on. And then our 5 plays in the pick'em pool: Denver, Jacksonville, Minnesota, Jets, and Buffalo. For Big Daddy C, I'm your host, Jason Nall. It's been our pleasure to spend the last hour with you talking about the smorgasbord of college and pro football gambling coming our way. Hope you win big this weekend. And we're going to be counting our money next week. I think it's our week. Let's go. Until next time, we are out of here.
I said, united we stand, in God we trust. There is no fear. United we stand, in God we trust. There is no fear. United we stand, in God we trust. There is no fear. There is no fear. There is no fear.